The Barbie movie had the best marketing campaign the film industry has ever seen. Up until its premiere in July, it completely dominated the conversation, not just on social media where it was trending all the time, but in the real world with some ingenious branding, countless partnerships, and a release strategy so smart that it snowballed into a massive event of its own. It opened to record-breaking numbers and it took the world by a pink sparkly storm, so considering I actually studied marketing, I spent an entire week looking into everything to do with their campaign and breaking down its success into the 5 main components that made it work. This is how Barbie took over the world. The first key element is called earned media, and it's a marketing term referring to any content that is organically generated by others. For example, when they first revealed the character posters for the movie, they also introduced an AI tool that allowed anyone to make one as well. At first, it was a fun little thing for the fans, but not before long, the internet got on and turned it into a meme. Suddenly, everybody was a Barbie, and on top of that, other brands and celebrities jumped on the trend as well, and further gave the movie a lot of free publicity. According to the developers, the filter was used over 13 million times since the release, and the data from media intelligence companies shows an overwhelmingly positive response. Now, while you cannot predict or force something to go viral, what they did is provide all the ingredients and give it the best fighting chance. Over on Instagram and TikTok, content involving the movie was seen billions of times since the beginning of the year, and a lot of it has to do with the trends the users themselves were creating, and as a result, the hype around the movie skyrocketed, making it the most watchlisted movie of the year on Letterboxd and exponentially growing their own social media presence. Earned media is also news articles written about you, and when it comes to that, they knew exactly how to get people talking. For example, the photos that leaked from the set early on might not be entirely an accident, as implied by a studio executive in an interview, and neither is probably the French translation of the poster that went viral for its double meaning. A huge part of their campaign was also the strategic partnerships with other brands. Perhaps the most notable one was listing the Barbie Dream House on Airbnb and allowing people to actually book it, and the list goes on, so let's just do this quickly. Shoes, clothes, burgers, glassware, toothbrushes, suitcases, candles, pasta, video games, controllers, donuts, lemonade, jewelry, makeup, floaty things, carpets, kitchen appliances, snacks, more clothes, human clothes, dog clothes, even more clothes, and many more. Burger King in Brazil was completely overtaken by the brand, and so was Krispy Kreme in the Philippines. HGTV ran an entire Barbie-themed special, and during my research, I could personally verify at least 60 official collaborations, and I guarantee you there are at least 100 around the world. Now, it's important to acknowledge that Barbie the doll is an established brand, and that certainly helped, but what those companies were collaborating with was specifically Barbie the movie, as indicated by the different logo they were using and always including the release date in their own marketing materials. Speaking of branding, that was the next important piece of the puzzle. They essentially took ownership of the color pink. It was such a strong association that the billboards they had for the movie was nothing but a pink canvas and the date of the premiere. When people searched on Google for the movie, they got greeted by nice pink sparkles, and landmarks in cities around the world would decorate themselves in pink to a such degree that it caused a global shortage of pink paint. Movie theaters had special pink screenings, and I know that because I went to one, in which I was offered a pink drink, and most importantly, people around the world went to see it dressed in something pink. Life-size Barbie boxes popped up everywhere. There was a Barbie Malibu cafe, Barbie cruise, and for a certain period of time, it felt like the whole world was pink, which was really fun unless you have rhodophobia. The next part of their strategy was a pure genius, and of course, I'm talking about the Barbenheimer phenomenon. This felt like a lightning in a bottle, an actual cinema event, and if you think it was a lucky coincidence, well, I have some news for you. Initially, the studio was planning to release a different movie on that date, but once they found out that Christopher Nolan has chosen it for Oppenheimer, they decided to put Barbie instead. Now, at first thought, this might sound like a bad idea. When Barbie was first announced, there was a healthy dose of skepticism, and now it was going to go against this highly anticipated pure cinema of a movie on IMAX with practical effects and tackling a really heavy topic, but that was precisely the point. It's an actual strategy called counter-programming, in which a film with a completely different tone is released on the same day as another major one. Once again, they could have not predicted or forced any sort of reaction, but what happened next was unlike anything I've ever seen. Suddenly, everyone was making jokes about watching both, and Barbie and Oppenheimer became Barbenheimer. It really worked. Movie theaters were showing double features, something they haven't done in a long time, and that combined opening weekend was one of the biggest in box office history. I would actually argue that this helped both of those movies, because a certain amount of people would have only chosen to see one of them. When it comes to Barbie, for example, some went to see it ironically, as a bit of a joke, but what they actually experienced leads me to the last and crucial ingredient. The movie was actually good. It was received well by both the audience and the critics. It was fun, original, and it had a fantastic tone of voice, which in marketing terms is the style used to communicate. They didn't take themselves too seriously. For example, the first teaser trailer was a brilliant parody of 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is such a serious piece of cinema, and even the trailer itself says that if you hate Barbie, this movie is also for you. The marketing of it was so good that even the greatness of the marketing became a thing. According to some reports, the marketing budget was higher than the budget for the movie itself, but we've seen time and time again that a big marketing budget does not guarantee a hit. In fact, if anything, a truly creative approach can do far more for a movie than any amount of money, and in this case, all the stars aligned, so just for a little bit, we were all a Barbie girl.